Hey, it's another episode of Rogan Radio. We are in the studio, and we had such a successful preview hour, so we call it the social hour, and it kind of gives us like a warm-up and like a connect to everybody that listens, that can listen, that has a Facebook account, and it's always a fun time, and we had a great time. We had some great winners tonight. We had George Reinhardt on. He won a pair of tickets to the Sagebrush. Once again, what's happening is David Daugherty is having a concert up at the Sagebrush in Fairmont, Benner's Ridge on March 19th, and we have tickets to give away for that, and we're going to do that. George won a pair tonight, and who won? Wait a minute, who won a pair of tickets?
Oh, that wasn't Kara. Kara Marple won she won a car decal, right? Thank you, Kara.
Kara Marple won a car decal.
Yep, thank you, Kara.
And Mike Bird won the other sets of tickets. Yeah, because we gave away. That's right, Mike Bird.
Yes.
We need to once again. We want to thank Mike Bird. We want to thank George Reinhardt, Carol hit Marple, and Jeremy Duckworth came on and he did us an impression of Sling Blade.
Sling Blade.
So anyway. This is once again March is Colon Cancer Awareness Month, and with every podcast we're going to talk about this through the month of March. Just that, and David's wife, Chrissy, she along with Robbie Faber battling colon cancer. I mean, well, Chrissy's got some really good news, and David wrote a song. It's called he does Elvis songs, right? And he did a song Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and the whole thing is that when you have, like, say, cancer, for example, no one knows. I mean, you could be the loved one, you could be the wife, the girlfriend, whatever it might be, but you don't know unless you're the person with it. There's just a whole inner battle that you have, and you walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Yeah.
So with every purchase of that particular song on iTunes or Amazon or whatever, and we always put links for that stuff, and we encourage you to buy that song. It's 99 cents, so it's not going to kill you or anything. No. But once again, the whole catchphrase for this month is, when it comes to this, 99 cents is not going to kill you, but cancer can. Cancer will. Yeah. If you don't do anything about it. Mm-hmm. So it's Walk a Mile in My Shoes, the David D. Band, and you know what? Once again, we're going to have a mystery word at some point throughout this podcast, and this mystery word is going to win you a pair of tickets to go see David D. and the band at the Sagebrush, and you're also going to get dinner with that at the Sagebrush. I've never had dinner at the Sagebrush. It's bound to be fantastic because I've heard great things about it. That's fantastic.
I agree. I'd like to go. Can you get me some tickets there, big boy?
Some really big news coming out of West Virginia this week. We're going to talk about this in the next segment. The legislature passed a law where, as of right now, if you want to carry a handgun, you have two ways of doing it. You can carry it to where everyone can see it.
Yeah, open carry,
or you can carry it concealed. If you want to carry it concealed, however, you have to take a class, and then you have to have a concealed permit. Basically you go to the sheriff of your local county and you get your concealed permit. Well, the legislature did away with that through overriding a veto that our governor here in West Virginia, Governor Tomlin, he just didn't like it. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people are having worries about it. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to obviously there's going to be pros and cons about it. It's going to be a very interesting conversation, I think.
Yeah, I'll give you my take on that.
Yeah, pros, cons. We got a lot of those.
I'll tell you right offhand. I believe that you need if you're going to carry concealed, you do need the permit. I'm all for Second Amendment rights. I think everybody should be. If you are able to carry, you should carry. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everybody deserves to. But I've seen a lot of people out there that just want to buy a gun and they really don't know how to use it, and it's really more harmful than it is helpful. You know what I mean? So, but with the carry concealed permit, you have to have that class. It kind of gives you some knowledge about what to do, blah, 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 You
actually fire rounds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how many people they'll buy a handgun like that for just that sole purpose, but they don't even know anything about that thing.
Yeah.
They're like, I can carry it now. I don't need a permit. I don't need a class. I'm just going to go buy one and carry it. That can be it's
kind of scary.
Really
dangerous,
bad things.
Now, if you didn't want to have to, and I know some people are probably worried about, well, I don't want to have to pay money for this permit, or it's my right, why should I pay money? Or the fact that, I have this permit, then law enforcement knows that I carry a gun. You know what? I'd want to know if you carry a gun. I feel safer with you, and I'd know ahead of time if I'm going to come talk to you that you have one. But, if they really wanted to do it away with the permit, then they should have some type of mandatory class when you buy a firearm that you have
Regardless
to take.
of age. I think it's-
Regardless of the permit or not, you should have to have a class.
Yeah, that's a
Well,
good
like I
idea.
said, we're going to get into this conversation. As you can see, it's going to be pretty good, and it all boils down to me in a simple form like this. If you go buy a computer, okay, say you buy a computer. Now, that has nothing to do with a gun. It's a computer, right? And they have a book saying computers for dummies, or they like if you buy an Apple, like a Mac or something like that, you can actually take a class to learn how to use the computer. Well, just because you go buy a gun and it's a pretty simple machine doesn't mean you know all the laws concerning that, doesn't mean that you can even fire the thing, doesn't mean you're not going to pull it out and shoot yourself. You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about that. That's going to be a pretty interesting conversation. Also going to have some really weird stories. I mean, one of the things that I've never heard of are ghost weddings, and these happen in Japan.
Ghost wedding.
And listen, ghost weddings, and these have been happening for 3,000 years.
I'd like to hear about the ghost weddings.
We're going to talk about that. We're also right now in this area, and I think probably in Maryland, a lot of our listeners in Maryland are having this problem too with stink bugs. It's everything's starting to warm up,
hate
thaw
stink
out a little
bugs.
bit. Stink bugs are coming out of the walls. Listen, those things when they, in the fall when they go to try to find a place to hide, they're like hibernate, and they're like daggone their tanks.
Oh.
You know, they're very prehistoric looking anyhow. But these things are just coming out of the walls now, and they're flying all over the place. We're going to have an interesting conversation about stink bugs. Now, you might not think right offhand that you would be interested in that.
Gross.
But you're going to find out some really cool things about the stink bug, and
You
not
know,
all of them are
everybody-
really good.
Everybody's got stink bugs.
They are now. And
When's the first time you started seeing stink bugs?
a couple years ago. Well, there's a reason why for that. And we're going to talk about
I guess
that.
we're gonna find out next.
guess.
Todd.
Listen.
find out. I got the paperwork right there.
Yep, stink bugs. Stink bugs are not indigenous. Is that the word?
Indigenous.
Indigenous. I was never very good with English. To the state of West Virginia, and they were brought here to take care of something else. You know what? How many times have you heard that they bring I've always
Ladybugs.
like ladybugs? Can they come here to eat the stuff off the plants, and all of a sudden you have because there's nothing here to eat ladybugs. So then all of a sudden you have 10 zillion ladybugs everywhere. But we're going to go ahead and talk about that, and we also have a neat little theory about Godzilla. In honor of Bruce isn't here this week. Bruce was here last week. Great podcast that we had. Want to really thank Bruce for coming down, and all the listeners in Japan for this last podcast, because he boosted the numbers alone by it's about 1,700 people. So we were
terrible.
really close to 5,000 people in Japan on this last podcast, and we really encourage you to stay with us with every podcast.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
By the way, did you see that translation thing? That little translation video?
Yeah, that was hilarious.
No, if you haven't checked that out, go to Rogan Radio and look at that, because that's
really good.
funny.
Once again, you're listening to Rogan Radio. Check us out on the Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus. On the how's Christian getting along over there with the Instagram?
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to ask him.
I haven't. I don't have an Instagram account, so I don't know. I have so many daggone things.
Yeah,
That after a while I start turning things off and I just uninstall them. Also on Twitter, all you need to do is search us for Rogan Radio. You can also give us a call. Once again, sometime during this podcast, we're going to have that mystery word for a pair of Sagebrush tickets to go see David D and the band on March 19th, and you'll get dinner with that. All you need to do is listen for that mystery word and then text us at 681-222-ROGN. You're listening to Rogan Radio. Hey, we're back on Rogan Radio, and we really appreciate you listening to us. We're having a fantastic time, as we always do.
I love this show.
I'm glad you love
Love
this
it.
show. I'm glad you love this show. And
It's
if you're
my
watching this,
favorite.
and if you're watching it on YouTube, all you can see are the guys playing on their phones. Actually, not. You know what? That was watching the Facebook stuff, actually. So that was great there.
What the hell was
Jimmy.
that?
Jimmy. Now Jimmy knows that I have this terrible sound problem in my ear, and I'm looking at this stuff over here, and all I hear is that.
But konnichiwa, it's great in Japan.
I guess in Japan you are actually giving people a compliment by slurping.
Exactly, man.
And that's exactly why Godzilla. That's exactly why Godzilla comes out of the ocean every now and then and wipes everybody out, because Godzilla has the same thing that I do. It has the same problem that I do when it comes to sounds, and it's just like, would you people quit that shit? It might be a compliment to the chef, but I'm tired of it, and I want to wipe out the city, and hopefully you'll learn. And that's why they have to. Godzilla comes out of the water.
That is
everything's magnified in water, and Godzilla comes out, and wipes out Japan, and they have to rebuild, and then they start slurping again.
That's my whatever, my tribute to Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne, he said that was absolutely truth. It was absolutely the truth. What would a hawk sound like if it was a Hawkzilla? Because Todd does a great hawk.
I'll get way back from the microphone like this.
That's Todd's hawk.
Hawkzilla.
That's Hawkzilla. That's Hawkzilla, man. You know what? I love those old Godzilla movies, though. The new ones, not so much, but the old ones, I think it's nostalgic. Kind of like people like the Ghostbusters.
When you were a little
and
kid.
blasting on this new Ghostbusters stuff.
I remember them Godzilla movies.
Did you happen to see the new what's the word I'm looking for? The new trailer for the new Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I did. And you know what? I like it because I think it's going to be pretty good.
No, we have already did, and he's already read us the riot act, Jimmy. I mean,
he's had no interest whatsoever. But I'll tell you what, we like it.
The new Ghostbusters, it looks fantastic. A lot of neon, a lot of sound effects, and a lot of stuff like that. And the thing is about it, they've kind of changed it up a little bit. It's all female cast now, and then whoever the secretary was is now the guy that played Thor. Is that his name? Whatever his name is.
Yeah, that real handsome-looking buff dude. Do you think that's why Jeremy doesn't like it because it's all girls?
I don't know. You know, that's just like one of his movies. Jeremy loves Ghostbusters, and for some reason, it's like a staple of his
childhood.
Well, of his being, right? Now that's not for me. I mean, the Ghostbusters to me when I watched it was an okay flick. I mean, it's not like Top Gun, Smoking a Bandit, Blazing Saddles, nothing like that. I mean, it's Ghostbusters to me. If it's on, it's on. I like the Last Starfighter a lot better than that.
Well, Jeremy, he was a child. Like we were a child of Star Wars, and he don't care about
absolutely.
That.
So
he was a child of Ghostbusters. So that's fine.
Good. But you know what? Ducko said something the other day that I almost passed out. We were playing Battlefront, me and I think you were on there, Todd.
Yeah.
And he said that, man, playing this just makes me want to go watch the original 3.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
And you know what? How many times did he tell us, I ain't going to go watch it. I'm not watching that shit. That's stupid.
He thought it was absolutely dumb. And to a large extent, the first 3, I would agree with him. However, the 4, 5, and 6, the originals, they actually, I mean, and how funny is it that a guy that didn't grow up with Star Wars plays a video game, and then he comes out and says, you know what, I really kind of like those things. It's pretty kind of neat.
And I think he'll say the same thing about Ghostbusters when he finally breaks down and watch it in secret. But
watches it in secret.
He won't tell us.
He's going to watch it.
He'll watch it.
Okay, now here's the big thing. West Virginia this week, it's going to take into effect in 90 days. And after 90 days, you will be able to go out and buy a handgun and carry that handgun concealed. You won't have to have a permit. Up to this point, you've always had to get a permit from your local sheriff in your county. And to get that permit, you had to, pass your background check from the FBI, your NICS, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you also had to take a class to certify that you were able to use that firearm responsibly. And you knew, and when we took our classes, because I have my concealed permit, you go out on the range, you do some things, but you also learn about the laws and the responsibility of gun ownership.
And you know what? That might be equally as important as learning how to pull a trigger.
I think it's a lot more important, and that's the thing that scares me about this particular law, because
pressing the trigger is the easy part.
Yeah, it's the consequences after that could be kind of bad for you.
Well, it's like now one thing that I did see, the politics of it's one thing. It's not really necessarily a Second Amendment thing to me. For me, it's not because nobody ever stopped me from buying a gun. But it's some of the comments that I see. There was I don't know if it was a senator or a whatever they call them. I'm not sure how, a delegate in West Virginia from Cabell County, and he said, "I can hear it now. All the drug lords in Michigan or Detroit, Michigan, are clapping their hands and cheering." I'm thinking, buddy. I mean, they're running drugs. I'm not really sure that they really care about.
Do you think they're following the concealed carry law?
I mean, listen,
no.
And I don't know how the law is, and Jimmy, maybe you know, but if you come to my car, or say if I'm walking on the street and I have a concealed gun and I don't have a concealed permit, what's the fine, or
if it's
what
concealed?
happens?
I don't know offhand in West Virginia because each state is different. So, and I haven't really looked
but
into it.
But it's probably a hell of a lot less than if you have heroin in my car.
I think so.
Yeah, well, it's different.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You're not going to get arrested, but you'll probably,
exactly.
be fined.
So if you're running heroin, then why would you worry about a concealed gun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Because the
that's probably-
consequences for the heroines are a lot more than having a
Yeah,
concealed gun.
because chances are if you're running heroin, you're already a felony convictor. And if you have a gun and you have a gun with drugs on you, I mean, you're just adding up some life sentences there.
Well, that's the whole thing. And if you do, I mean, the thing that I worry about isn't so much that people owning firearms. It's the thing that I worry about is people now going out and just thinking, okay, now I can buy one. I don't have any hassle. And I can go out and buy a gun and just start carrying it with me. And maybe even have never fired a round through, I mean, ever. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they think it's going to protect them.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's what I'm worried about. It's not so much that, under the Second Amendment, you have the right to bear arms. You can buy a weapon if you can pass a background check. But you know what? You get some of these guys out here who think, now they're going to think, well, I can carry a gun wherever I want. So we're going to have these issues where people are just, now they think that because they carry one, they can just use it. You know what I mean? That's
and
kind
then
of
they're
the
all
scary
going to think
part.
that they, oh, I'm getting this holster because it's the coolest holster ever and it looks cool, but yet it's not a very safe holster.
Right.
I mean, people just don't know. And then here's a perfect example. You could tell a lot of people don't know what they're doing with guns by just going to the range.
Yeah.
You could see everybody. There was a video online, and it was so true. You see all the different people that you see at the gun range, and you got people trying to do like these quick draws, and they think they're like a one-hitter, and they're trying to shoot gangster style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, especially if you have a Glock. Say a Glock, I mean, you pulled it. I mean, the only thing that's stopping a round coming out of the chamber is the trigger, right? You know what I mean?
Do Glocks have safeties?
The only safeties are finger.
That's what I mean. People got to be educated. That's if they're educated and they take the course, like you said. I think even what is it between 18 and 21, they have to take a course.
Right. If you're 18 and 21, you still have to take the course.
Yeah,
correct.
but you know what? There's so many people that are older than that. They just have no idea.
And here's another thing. If you're going to go out, what is the and once again, I want to stress the fact that I'm not against people going out and buying guns, but I mean, why are you going out? Why are you going out to buy a pistol? Why are you going to do it? Is it for some kind of a is it for self-defense? Okay, well, say it's self-defense. Now, so in your mind, what's the self-defense situation that you wanted? If you think it's walking, down to your car after dark in a parking lot, you will not. I guarantee you, and I don't. You can have an officer that's trained. And an officer's not going to pull out their holster. They're going to use jiu-jitsu like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
You're not going to have the reaction time to go and pull your shirt up and pull this gun out and go after a guy if they're right on you. You're not. If anything, what's going to happen, the guy's going to take the gun out of your holster and probably shoot you with it.
And unless you're shooting them from 5 feet away, if you're not someone that regularly goes to the range, it's a perishable skill, marksmanship. So unless you're going to the range regularly and shooting, you're probably not even going to hit them unless they're like right in front of you, and by that time it's too late.
Because
Yeah,
what's the
absolutely.
accuracy? What's the accuracy of a pistol? If saying 9mm, it's not that accurate at
if you don't, if you're not.
If you don't have
trained.
the muscle, what's muscle memory
Yeah.
with
Now,
it?
granted, I can shoot 25. I can
Well,
hit
you're-
this far,
you're-
50 yards,
right.
but
Yeah,
but that's because I do it all the time.
Right.
You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But I could tell exactly when I don't do it for a little bit, it starts to move.
And what's the difference? And here's another point: is that even if you go out, even with training, I think it's more about laws and just kind of getting comfortable with how the weapon works, so you don't blow your own brains out. But say like when you're out on the range and you're shooting, you're shooting targets. Now there would be a difference, I would think, at least in your mind or adrenaline that you can't control.
Yeah,
If you're out on the range and you're safe.
Yeah.
But if you're in a situation where you don't know and somebody's shooting back at you and somebody comes around that corner, then you know what? You're going to kind of shit your pants a little bit to the point where
it's totally different. Yeah.
That's what I mean. When you see some of these videos or you hear some of these stories where officers shoot 5 or 6 times, well, no shit. I mean, it's natural. I mean, you kind of lose control a little bit.
Action beats reaction. So by the time it takes to get to your brain to say, "Oh, he's down. I need to stop shooting," you've already probably pressed that trigger probably 2 more times. You know what I mean?
Just through adrenaline alone, and that's with a trained person that's comfortable.
Exactly.
That's comfortable with it. Now you can imagine with me, if somebody would walk through that door, and I would be scared to death because that's not normal for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not normal.
Yeah. Well, I'm just afraid that some of these guys are going to think that they're just Billy Badass now because they can carry a weapon.
Yeah,
and they're going to be in a bar and they're going to be at and they're just going to pull that thing out willy-nilly because why What do you think gun sales are? You think gun sales are going to go through the roof now?
Gun sales are they've been going through the roof anyway.
Yeah.
Well, since Obama got in there, they were.
But now
He's gonna take my guns.
I understand both sides of the argument, but the thing that what I worry about is how many people are going to go out and buy a firearm.
Yeah.
Just thinking it's going to protect them or make them feel, if you're in a situation, and this is kind of like how I think about it, same with four-wheel drives. If I don't need a four-wheel drive, because if it's bad enough to where I need a four-wheel drive, I shouldn't be driving anyway,
right?
Yeah.
Because nobody else is. And it's the same way with a firearm. Depending on where I am or if I am in a situation that I need to pack heat. Now, listen, it could be one of these things like the Batman guy in Colorado or whatever. Okay, that's one in a zillion chances compared to your everyday life. But if I'm thinking I'm so scared that I need to pack a gun with me when I go to Kroger's to buy a frozen pizza, then I've probably got a problem at that point.
Yeah. Well, just like Jimmy mentioned earlier, there's a lot of rule. Besides pulling the trigger in self-defense, there's a lot. If you're in a crowded mall or something, I mean, is it legal for you to go up and stop whoever's doing the bad thing, or can you know what I mean?
It's purely self-defense. I mean, if it's not self-defense, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah, not looking for trouble. But if you're somewhere and someone pulls out a gun and they're starting to shoot people, you have that right to stop them from killing other people.
Okay.
Right. But the problem is, how about this? Let me give you this situation. What if I'm, we're just going to say a random mall, and I hear shooting, and I could very easily get away from that situation. But I'm packing heat, so I'm going to go and try to stop that heat in my mind because I have a pistol on me. And I go down and I shoot that guy. But I also shoot somebody else in the process of that.
Yeah, then what are the legal?
Then you know what? That collateral damage is going to come back on me.
Yeah,
because I could have very easily left.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Because you had a means to escape, but you didn't. You went running right.
Yeah,
toward
I'm not law enforcement. You know what I mean?
I don't know how I really don't know how the laws work. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's kind of a touchy. That's one of those, loops of, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of people, they need to start understanding before you go out and you pick up your gun and you want to have it concealed. You better know the law and you better be very comfortable in packing that thing.
Well, that's why I think these classes would just be a huge benefit. Whether you're over 21 or not, you should, it would probably be in your best interest to go ahead and let's do this. You know what I mean? Be smart, be educated.
It's the same way. It's the same way you look at, and I'll do this, and we'll end this conversation because this is one of these things that can never end, and a lot of people will have comments just because they're guns. But if you could also say, okay, if having a concealed permit class to get you that gun was so much safer than not having a class, then you could also say you didn't need car insurance because when you took your driver's ed course and you took your driver's test, then you would never have an accident. We know that's true. Yeah. And that should tell you right there that accidents do happen. And you look at how many accidents people have with cars just driving. And driving's a hell of a lot simpler than when you pull out a gun.
Yeah.
Then you know what? I just hope, and I guarantee you something bad's going to happen to somebody, and it's going to be, you know what, we should have never done this.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to say. Listen, we passed this now, and everybody's going to be on that bandwagon. They're going to shut it down.
Now, maybe they're thinking it's going to be a deterrent now. I don't know what the, it would be some kind of a deterrent that since everybody thinks everybody's packing heat, it'll calm everybody down. But, at 2 o'clock in the morning after you've been boozed up, I doubt if really, people are going to care about that.
But I was thinking about that too. If you're a bad guy and you want to go rob a 7-Eleven at midnight, now you got to think, Jesus criminy, everybody's got a damn gun now. Who doesn't have a gun now? Because everybody can pack heat.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't rob that 7-Eleven.
There's absolutely two sides to the story, but I do know this: if you're the guy going in to rob 7-Eleven with a gun, you're not really you have nothing to lose at that point because you're in a frame of mind where you're going to rob 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
If you're the guy that's pumping gas at 7-Eleven when somebody walks in with a handgun and you go and start shooting the place up, trying to be Billy Badass hero guy, and you mess up and you kill somebody that's innocent,
you're going to go to jail. I imagine.
You're probably going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And it's not just because, and once again, if you're buying a handgun for, and carrying it concealed because you're afraid to go, what kind of situation are you in? And there's probably situations to where you do want a handgun. Maybe if you work at a place after night. I don't know. But you need to have that reaction time. If you're walking around and somebody's hiding behind a car and they come and attack you, you're not going to be able to pull out your gun and shoot them. Say if it's in your purse. Yeah. Well, if you carry a gun in your purse, what kind of situation can you be in where you can undo your purse, pull out the gun?
Hold on.
You know what? I did this for my for my youngest daughter. I bought her one of these. It goes on a keychain, right? But it's like 2 pieces, and when you pull that thing apart, all you do is pull it apart, and it sends off this real loud whistle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Those
It's
are
just
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's only a deterrent, but that's probably all she's going to need. Hopefully, if that guy's smart enough to get the hell out of there, because everybody within 100 feet is going to hear this thing going. That'd be a hell of a lot.
I wonder what the statistics are as far as violent crime when it comes to somebody being mugged or like physically assaulted compared to somebody being robbed at gunpoint. I bet you physically it's a lot higher.
Yeah.
Well,
I would bet.
Yeah,
I would
women,
bet.
especially women, they need to really be aware of their surroundings.
Well, but that's when it goes back to, if you learn, rather than buying a gun thinking you're safe, then we're going back to the whole jiu-jitsu thing, because if somebody gets on you and you know how to get them off of you and knock them in the balls or scratch their eyes out, that's going to be a lot more effective than trying to get a gun out.
Yeah.
And if you're parked in a mall at night and there's a van right next to your car,
It's not.
Don't go
It's
to
not
your
Shaggy
car.
and Scooby's
It
what you're
says
saying.
free candy.
it's not the mystery
It says free candy on the side.
Yeah, free candy. Get the hell out of there, Steve
I think the
Coral.
biggest thing is keep your nose out of your damn phone. Everybody walking around like
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
they have no
blah.
idea what's going on.
No idea what's going on around them.
And
Listen.
if you want to get something, if you want to go, home defense, don't buy a pistol. Buy a shotgun. You don't
always
have
say
to
buy
worry,
a shotgun.
You don't have to worry about aiming a pistol or a
Yeah.
shotgun. You just point it,
Point in a direction.
Just
and
chamber
fire.
that round.
and you're going to be painting your walls. And the only thing you have to do is go to what's the place that sells paint? Sherwin-Williams and buy some new paint.
Listen, moral of the story: be safe,
Be safe and
Not
be
stupid.
responsible.
be educated, please.
But this is going to be a very interesting conversation to see how this thing goes on, and we're just once again it's going to be really interesting to see how this goes on, to be how it kind of transforms itself.
What is
now.
it? 1st of May here in West Virginia. 1st of May. I
90
think is
days
when
after a couple days ago. Is that when it is?
Yeah, first week in May. You'll be able to just carry one. Oh boy.
All right, listen, you're listening to Rogan Radio. We're going to come back. We're going to talk some stink bug stuff, and we're going to talk about perhaps some spying that Vizio's doing, maybe? Is that what it is? Yeah, it's weird. If you have a smart TV, you have to watch that. And I want to get into this 3,000-year-old tradition in Japan of ghost weddings. We'll get to that and more. You're listening to Rogan Radio. Hey, we're back on Rogan Radio, and one thing that we didn't do so far, we didn't give you the mystery word, and we have not talked about the quote of the week. And I hope we have some kind of applause ready, because we always
Of course we do.
All right. So once again, this is one thing we do every single podcast. We have a quote of the week. Originally, we were only going to have a podcast every 2 weeks, and then only a half-hour episodes, and it's kind of made itself into anywhere as far as time-wise goes. And,
Shut up, Todd.
Yeah, and then every week now. And then, you know what? I think we need to go back to 30 minutes and every 2 weeks. All right, Mr. Beck, Captain Earl, give us the quote of the week.
Quote of the week from phone number 7742. Quote of the week is, if the words don't add up, it's just because the truth was not part of the equation.
I like it. I like it.
The
like it.
truth was not part of the equation.
I want to believe.
7-7.
If the words don't add up, it's because the truth was not part of the equation. That's true. Have you ever listened to something from somebody and they were like, "Yeah, this don't sound right"? It's because the words, didn't make sense. If you have a quote of the week, make sure you go ahead and give us one at 681-222-ROGN. Now, listen, Jimmy, there's a big controversy now with this iPhone privacy thing, but it might be even wider range than that, and it concerns smart TVs. And
That's right.
There's a big lawsuit now with Vizio.
As I'm reading this, Vizio smart TVs, I guess there's an Indiana man suing a TV manufacturer for collecting data about his viewing habits and selling it to third parties. I guess there's a big write-up about it. I'm not going to read the whole thing, of course, but basically it's showing that that they do have something in their TVs that I mean, they're not cameras, but it actually registers, things that you view on the TV and sends them, out for advertisements so that they could send them to your house and stuff. The only thing I could think of is that's probably why Vizio TVs are so cheap. Cheap parts, but they can sell it to manufacturers.
They can subsidize. They can subsidize things through advertisements, and just like a lot of these, I know with even Google for that fact. Google, if you have to accept it, but they kind of follow what you do, and they give you that option. Do you want to report your whatever you do back to Google, right? Well, that's the same way with Vizio, except they didn't tell anybody that they were doing it, and when they were watching your viewing habits or whatever, they would just anonymously, I hope, send your statistics back, and so now there's a big lawsuit for that because they didn't tell anybody
Well,
they
at
were
least
doing
if
it.
they're
I'm sure
watching
they've
your,
changed that.
as long as they're just watching your viewing habits, they're not watching you.
Well, yeah, but nevertheless, I didn't tell you that they were.
Yeah, well,
you were,
I
you
know.
What
but
if they
know,
were? How do you
but
know they
still,
weren't?
look,
What if
watching
there's a
what you were
camera in
doing?
the TV and they were watching you watch TV?
Even if they're not watching you,
But
like
they're watching
gonna
what's
see,
coming out of your
they're
house.
gonna see all Chuck's porn that he watches.
That's what I'm
Booyah.
saying. And they'll see him watching the porn.
Listen, they'll see me probably in the porn, buddy.
That's disgusting.
Anyway, let's talk about these ghost weddings in China. Now, this has been going on for 3,000 years, and there's a tradition in China, and I don't know if you've ever heard this, and you know, it's kind of bizarre, but certain cultures have different things. They consider it bad luck for a single man to pass into the afterlife without a female companion. Right?
Whoa.
They by their side. So what's happening is they're having grave robbers go out, some of these families who have like somebody that didn't get married or divorced or whatever happens to why somebody would be married, and they're going out and they're digging up people's bodies like Lord forbid somebody say it like my grandmother, they would dig her up and move her to this other guy
Who didn't have a woman by
who
his
didn't have a
side.
woman, because that is absolutely the tradition. A deceased single man is also seen as making a family tree incomplete in the Chinese social order. So it's like a real deal, and it's been going on for 3,000 years.
So they
There's
gotta
a bunch
make that. They have to make that family
This
tree
isn't
complete.
more well known. You know?
Well, I mean that's like one of those things. Like when Bruce was here, we didn't know a lot about the Japanese culture, and there's it's just like little things like this. It's very interesting like that. It's crazy to think that somebody's going out and digging people up to place them with somebody else, because I think isn't there something, and I don't know, I almost hate to bring it up because I don't know, but isn't there something with Judaism to where when you are buried, you have to have your complete body. That's why a lot of these times, if like a lot of these soldiers and stuff get captured in these other countries, they'll chop their head off, but they'll send their bodies back, but not their head, because they can't be complete at that point.
Yeah. Ugh.
But that's the same thing, except in China, you need a woman by you. You know what? To make the
by ya.
afterlife so much quote unquote better.
That's gonna.
Oh,
You know what?
God.
If you're in the afterlife and you don't have nobody, and then they stick somebody by you and you don't like them, well, you're screwed.
Oh, that's kind of crazy.
What if they stick some 80-year-old next to you and you die when you're 20? Now you're stuck with an 80-year-old for the rest of your eternal life.
Well, you know what? Everybody when they're dead, when they did go to heaven, they're all
You know
young
what?
and they're prosperous anyway.
If
right?
you die before I do,
Yeah.
I'll be buried next to you. That way, me and you can chill out in the afterlife.
Absolutely, man. We'll go there, sit on our couch.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking down at you, and you'll be looking up at me.
The only thing we won't have a Vizio TV because we don't want God to see what we're watching. I think another big problem that we have right now are stink bugs. The stink bugs are starting to come out.
I hate those things.
Listen, I've got 3 or 4 of those things just
Dude, you
today
can drop
flying
like
around.
a textbook on them things and they don't die.
The weird thing about a stink bug is that everything in this house could be absolutely silent, but then when them things start flying around, you can hear it like nobody's business. I'm like, what in the world is that?
You know, stink bugs, listen, are native of Japan, Korea, Taiwan. Somehow they got moved over here. Probably right around 2007, I think is what this article said. They hooked a ride on shipping containers.
Is that how they got over? I thought they brought
Yeah.
over to kind of consume something. And they don't have any natural predators either, do
No,
they?
not really.
Well, who the hell wants to eat something stinky, dude?
Oh, they are.
Why do they call
Birds
them?
would be like,
Do you know why they stink?
Well, that's what I'm
start
going to ask you.
gagging.
Why do they call them stink
let's
bugs?
start gagging like Chuck.
When they're squashed or frightened,
Yeah.
like I do sometimes when I get scared and I
Yeah.
and I
And then you
poop my
fart,
pants
yeah.
a little
Oh,
bit.
yeah,
I get a little poop juice.
I mean,
And when they're squashed or frightened or disturbed, stink
Poop
bugs
juice.
secrete a foul-smelling, bad-tasting substance. Now, here's what I want to know.
Right.
You can smell them, but who was the guy who tasted them? Because it said it has a bad-tasting substance.
Listen, man. Let me tell you something.
stink
Let me tell you, well, it smells bad. I wonder what it tastes like.
Let me tell you something. It tastes like shit. But the funny thing is that when these stink bugs start coming out, like now, right?
Yeah.
And I have something cooking on the stove, like say if it's chili or spaghetti sauce or something, I'm always paranoid that I always, before I mix anything up, I look around there a little bit to make sure there's not a stink bug.
Oh,
it is just
yeah.
it almost makes me so paranoid to think that those things could just like drop into there.
Now listen,
Yeah,
be,
you can
listen, be
bite into
careful.
one of them.
Be careful when you're vacuuming. If you see one on the floor or something, if you smack it down, a lot of people don't go over and sweep them up. don't sweep them up with a vacuum because that strong odor will stay in that thing. They say sweep it up with a shop vac or something and
Just
take
pick
it
it up and throw it
outside.
outside.
Or take
grab
it
a
out
paper
and throw it
towel.
outside.
What is it about a stink bug when you grab one and you want to throw it outside? You almost think it's going to bite you because
I
they
know,
don't do
right?
anything.
No, they eat it. They don't bite. They're just trying to
Yeah,
survive.
but
man.
I think if you even touch them when they're alive, they'll secrete that.
Well,
little
yeah,
butt
because
juice all over you.
if they're frightened, they'll scare you.
Why can't they be like those sheep that just drop over? What are those sheep?
Oh, those. Have you seen those sheep where you scare them and they just
Yeah,
get
and
real
they
stiff?
they
and
just
fall
fall
over.
Are there? Let me ask you this: is there any way to rid yourself of stink bugs? Because I know, especially in the fall when they go in hiding, man, you'll find them things in coat jacket. I have coats out there in the garage, and I have to pull the arms out of them to get all the stink bugs out because they're looking for someplace warm.
I didn't
You
see
know
many
what?
of them in the
Listen,
South.
for homeowners, that says it's simple.
Yeah,
Just
because it never
mix
gets
your-
cold down there.
Listen,
Jim.
just mix yourself up a little non-toxic brew of soapy water and spray them with that soapy water. That'll usually work. A lot of times what I'll do is, you'll be laying in bed watching TV, and Vic likes to run that ceiling fan,
Yeah.
And be watching TV, and all of a sudden I'll hear something bang hit a ceiling
Oh,
fan.
no.
And then I'm like, what the hell? And then it'll end up somehow, like everything, always ends up landing on the freaking TV screen. So I'll go over there and I'll sweep that thing into my hand because I don't want to kill it because, like you said,
Right.
if you squash them or something.
Yeah.
So I just scoop him up real nice, and I would go over and open the window, and I throw him right out.
Mm-hmm.
But, they're trying to get out right now is when they're trying to get out.
Yeah, they're absolutely trying to
And,
get out. Speaking of having those things hit the ceiling fan, how many times have you been in your postal truck, Jimmy? We don't have air conditioning like they do in your company's vehicles.
Yeah.
We have fans, like literal fans, like you'd see in 1930, going around where the guy's sitting in front of the refrigerator. And occasionally, and I don't know what it is about bees. Bees love LLVs.
Yeah,
And
they do.
that should almost be a bumper sticker. Bees love LLVs, and,
Yes, they do.
and they'll just come into that thing. You could have, I don't know what it is about hornets and wasps and bees, but anyway, occasionally one of those things will go flying around the inside of the cabin there, and dumb enough to fly right into that fan.
I was going to ask you if
Yeah,
you've ever seen them
man,
do that.
they'll fly right into that fan and whang!
We have
chops them
these
right
little,
up.
these little fans.
They're like oscillating, or not oscillating even. They're just
No.
they're like just bladed fans. It's like-
Yeah, yeah. Or have you ever done this? Like you'll be sitting in your truck and they'll be trying to get out that window over there, like,
Right.
and you'll see them. So you just grab a rubber band, you just kind
Try
of
to
try
shoot
to
'em.
ting, you miss, you ting, you miss, and ting, you hit it.
And that's why your mail's late because we're sitting here trying to kill bees. The only bee that I'm allergic to are yellow jackets, and I get hit with one of those
Oh,
yellow jackets,
yeah.
and man, and you know what the bad thing about a yellow jacket is? And
They hurt.
And when you start
they
swatting at them, there's not one of them. There's like 10,000 of them that come
Oh, I
after you,
know,
right?
right? Yeah.
This was, and they talk about the bees, like the honey bees and all these different kind of bees dying off, right?
Yeah.
This
that's
was
crazy.
the first year. This past year was the first year I didn't find any nests in mailboxes or railings.
yeah.
Didn't get hit one. Normally I get bit a couple times a year and I swell up like the marshmallow
Do you
man.
get bit or do you get stung?
Yeah.
No, I think yellow jackets pretty much bite you, don't
Do they
No,
bite
no,
you or
no, no,
sting
no,
you?
no. They
I think they sting you.
yeah, because when there's in bite, I mean, because yellow jackets don't lose their
Stinger.
their stinger. They'll keep stinging.
Bumblebees lose their stinger.
Yeah, they'll die.
Wasps,
Actually,
hornets,
They
yeah,
sting
once
one,
they sting you,
they're
they're
dead.
done.
Well, he always said how
What a
allergic.
weird freaking
Bizarre,
creation
isn't it?
is that?
No,
You know,
no.
here's my defense, but I die anyway.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
almost
going to be a martyr. Watch me.
It's almost like, hey, I want to have a kid, but I want to die right afterwards because it's going to break off.
If I'm dying, you're getting stung, or wait a minute, I'm still gonna die.
Good
Wait.
thing we're not bees.
Chuck came to work one day, or no, you got bit out on the route.
Yeah.
And, he's always, I'm allergic and all this. And he came back, and I swear to God, his fingers were the big, they were big as
I
sausages.
swell up, man.
His hand was, I mean, it looked like he had not one glove on, not two, like it was
I
this big.
swell up.
His fingers were that freaking bigger, I swear to God.
I swell up pretty bad. Remember the time I got hit on the legs over there on in Clarksburg? I got hit on the legs, and my leg, it just got, it's just awful.
I have no allergic reaction to bees. I'm like a Superman.
Shit, man.
I am
Anyway,
like a
so
super dork.
once again, I want to thank you for listening tonight. We didn't get to the mystery word. Once again, this
yes.
mystery word is going to be
Say
for your chance to win tickets to the Sagebrush on March 19th to see David D and the band, and you're going to have dinner at the same time.
Okay.
Which is going to be great. You're going to have dinner, and you're going to have a concert.
Now
It's going to
listen,
be great.
let me ask you this: what if we get a mystery word response from somebody who's out of town?
Well-
Maybe do we want to do one of these?
That's how we'll do it. Well, if
Because if they're calling from Illinois,
yeah. If there's no chance, at least specify if there is no chance that you can go to this, because we want to go. We want to go because it's a good thing. It's going to be everyone's going to be wearing blue for colon cancer awareness, and it's going to be a good time. If you can't make it, then go ahead and say, listen, I can't make it. And then we'll put you in the drawing for the decal.
Yeah.
We'll say,
Right, Indiana or Germany.
or Germany. We'd love to see
or Canada or Spain. Wherever.
The UK.
The UK. Once again, 681-222-ROGN at 7646. If you can't make the show, if you know you can't make the show, just go ahead and let us know, and you'll be in a drawing for a decal. If you'd really like to go to the show, then you know what? We'll put you right into that thing, and you'll be going to see on March 19th up in Fairmont, Bunner's Ridge.
Good times.
It's going to be a fantastic time, and you're going to have dinner, and you're going to have a concert that night. And the mystery word is going to be to this evening for this podcast, episode 20. Is going to be
drum roll,
and this will be the first time one of us have actually picked the magic word, the mystery word.
Yeah, we're going to let you do that, Chuck. Go ahead. What the
goodness? Somebody's awful gassy in here tonight. Somebody's a stink bug.
Mexican night for you?
This is a stink bug.
Me for
all right, okay.
The mystery word this week is Miller. That is the mystery word. Go ahead and give us a text at 681-222-ROGN. Send us a message on the Facebook. Or, if I wouldn't do it openly, of course. And make sure you follow us on, once again, the Facebook, on the Google Plus, on Twitter, and watch the videos that we do. It was kind of like a simulcast, I guess, on YouTube.
We have a good time.
Every Sunday.
Todd, what is the password again?
Code word? Well, code word.
The mystery word?
Mystery
word
whatever.
Is Miller.
There you go.
All right.
Miller.
And every Sunday at 7 o'clock, we have the social hour on the Facebook, and we really do appreciate each and every one of you listening. If you don't even want to, just send us a text. Let us know. Give us a voicemail. We'd love to put you on there. It's 681-222-ROGN. You're listening to Rogan Radio.